chess friends, hope you are doing well. Today I want to show you a mind-blowing chess game between Boot and me where I sacrificed my queen for the long-term benefits. Boot is the remarkable chess engine in the world who is currently playing in Rating Brawl tournament with me. In this video, I will show you my attacking plans, strategies and thoughts with you, so let's get started without wasting any time. I kicked things off with e4, and he played g6. We are going to drive into the ocean where he can choose modern defense, King's Indian or pirate defense, and don't ask me why he played g6. I am not a mind reader. Alright, we have d4 bishop g7 knight f3 d6 knight c3 and the a6 move. This a6 d6 and g6 move makes an equilibrium pawn structure which is designed to interrupting the movement of the knight and bishop in this b5, therefore knight c6 can come without any hesitation to prevail dominance in the center, and e5 bishop g4 are the common responses in the modern defense, and on the other hand, my opening strategy remains same. Push the h-pawn authentically, make a queen-bishop battery to launch an attack along with this diagonal, and break open the h-file with your rook, which I taught you thousands of times, and still you are unsuccessful in chess, but don't worry when Stockfish is here. Today I will give you the chess lesson with more clarity and accurately. So first play a4, this a4 move idea is to prevent black from playing b5, after that bishop c4 move will be much logical and coherent, knight g5 will create a symmetrical issues in f7 and e6 if black ever dare to push the d-pawn, but after b6 I follow up with bishop d3 instead of putting the bishop c4 which is absolutely playable, and after I play castle he goes with knight e7. This knight is taking care in the center behind from the pawn structure, and after he play castle, he can able to push the f-pawn by the support of the knight. Furthermore, he is making a strong unity for his brother knight. Alright, I maneuvered my knight on e2, with the intention to push the h-pawn straightforwardly. The knight can come to the f4 square in order to create some potential attacks on h5, and by playing e5 and opening up the diagonal for the bishop, you are able to hit the g-pawn with the knight and bishop which can lead into an effective strategy with your dark squared bishop. Another strategy of playing knight e2 is that, now you are able to push the c3 pawn, making a barrier for the sniper bishop, and now matter how you will execute an attack in the center I push both ed pawns to shut down the center. Alright, after bishop e7 c3 knight e7, I strike him hard with h4. As I mentioned I am gonna play h5, and if you take it knight f4 will retarget your pawn, therefore if you choose to play castle, face h5, some of you may respond with d5 but it's a stupid kind of move as I can dominate the center with e5, a5 and after doing some pawn exchanges, here will come the deceptive move knight g5, attacking to the key pawn which will fork the idiots and overall, you can't protect your position at all but don't worry. Let me tell you a motivational quote. You cannot change the people around you, but you can change the people you choose to be around. Going back, we saw that castle is a mistake. Now let's say you play h5, the main fallacy of this move is that you get the g5 square freely to access, where the knight or bishop can potentially create vulnerability in your position, and after castle knight g5 f4, look at the king side. By playing f4 h4 and knight g5, it builds an efficacious and adventurous position for white. Alright. So back to the position, Boot decided to play a natural move, try to protect the h-pawn advancement, but my determination is clearer than your repulsive teeths. Knight g3 can potentially lead the pawn to advance, and create pressure to the bishop. Play knight g5 queen to f3 to attack black on f7, these are the long-term strategic plan. We have queen d2, some of you may guess that black maybe wants to play long castle, because the king side is facing vulnerability through h5 and knight g5. In addition, by playing e5 there may be a potential chance to sacrifice the bishop on g6, and from the black's perspective. The light square bishop is controlling the great diagonal, the knight is very active in the center, so after queen e2 h5 and some source of natural looking moves, we have bishop c7 and some of you may think of playing long castle, but the problem is that my pawn is Albert Einstein, his actions is faster than your thoughts. For instance, if you really castle in queenside, I can came up with c4, try to break open the c-file, king slides take and here comes the sneaky move a6, look at this vulnerability. The bishop can't retreat, the only best move you can play is bishop on c6, after that, I will push the pawn, the black king is stuck behind the pawn, bishop e3 is coming to support the pawn, the rook is a big influencer of the pawn, and your position will be completely demolished. Going back, he didn't castle in the long side, rather, he castles in the short side which is more secure for him. And after a couple of moves later, we follow up with queen c6, queen d2 and bishop goes to h6, this is a nasty queen-bishop overwhelming maneuver, if black ever dares to capture the dark square bishop which will create an inadequacy in his king side, after something like c5 you can literally jump your knight on g5, targeting at the weak f7 pawn, he captured the pawn, but ignore it as if you don't know your XGF at shopping mall, sacrifice your knight on g5, what a sneaky move, after he captures with the pawn, you can even play e5. Attacking to the pawn although you could take the knight with your queen, but it's better to create load gradually in your opponent's position, because you build a strong attack by executing a plan to develop in time and a particular sequence. Now you can play the deadly bishop f7 check, the king has only one square to go and after that, queen takes f6 will lead into a checkmate, alright. Are you feeling bored? Then let me entertain your wit by making a joke. What do you call a cow with an award? Coward. Ha ha ha, lol. So in this position, he knows the vulnerability behind capturing the bishop which is why he moved back his bishop, now we have bishop g5 knight here queen e2, capturing bishop will lead exposure to your king side by my two brave knights, along with my queen from e2 square, that's the deficiency of your kingside pawn structure, additionally, I can push my e-pawn in order to activate the bishop subscription in this diagonal, by the way, if my queen gets the chance to stand on h5. It can pressure against this f-pawn together with the knight. Alright? Do you understand what I am trying to convey you? We have rook e1 queen back to c8 and after a couple of moves later, we have bishop to b3, this bishop b3 move idea is very symmetrical, first of all, it actives the bishop diagonal, the knight can jump into g5 square right away to increase the pressure against this exposed f7 pawn along with the queen, this is my main approach and observe me how I accomplish my strategy, after bishop e7, and in a sudden move, I get the opportunity to involve my rook on d3, you may ask what is the plan behind rook d3. Some may recognize the idea of involving the rook on g3 for the long-term benefit. In this position, if you give me only two extra moves, for example, queen d7 and repeat the queen move once again, I can even sacrifice my knight on h5, involving the queen in this h5 square to attack on the knight, after the fight of knight and bishop. Your something, most precious, is under attack, queen d7 may give an extra support to the knight but here comes the rook on g3, getting the g-file to disrupt your king's throne. Captures and here comes the queen on h6, attacking to the bishop with a maximum superiority, believe me or not, there is no way to stop checkmate, the game will be over. But Boot is a legend guy, he knows about all the ordinary stuffs and idle variations, when people including you, face a situation where they can't figure out any weaknesses or break the pieces intricately, they play any natural looking move which might seems to be logical, but in reality, it is not. In these types of situations, you have to figure out what your opponent is thinking to do, an immediate attack, a defensive move or an attacking approach. In this position, Boot played rook d7, because he thought that I was thinking to play knight g5, an attacking approach, to involve my bishop on g5 anyhow to pin down the knight to the rook. Second of all, his rook on d7, contains a blueprint to protect his 7th rank in his kingside, and third of all, he can even double up his rooks in this d-file after he break open the center with e5 or any other stuff, do you get it? Otherwise comment me what you cannot understand, I will clear all your doubts. Alright, we have queen d1 rook d8, and in a sudden move I played knight to g5. Because this rook is misplaced himself at d8, I get the opportunity again to involve my bishop on g5 to eliminate your ridiculous knight, because the knight is very effective, who is facilitating many key squares for black and inhibiting my potential attacks. Alright. So first he played rook e8, and then, he captured my knight with his knight, because at this time, if I capture the knight with my bishop, the knight will no longer to be pinned, therefore he can strike in the center with c5 immediately. This is the reason why I captured it with my pawn. Now you can see that the h-file gets widely opened. Now move up your king and involve your rook in this h-file. Therefore, some may think of playing h4, kicking the knight away. And the knight will go to the most beautiful square, h1. Lol, it's the worst square. Nevertheless, you have the potency to play knight f2 followed by g4, knight f6 or h6 as desirable. Go my knight go, show them who are you. You are the great Alexander, who only wants a land rather than love and peace. Additionally, you have the potency to play queen f2, queen takes h4, getting the h-file, freely to use. Beside that, you can even associate your rook in this h-file. In this position, you can also play knight f1, which is absolutely fine, contains the similar idea but in a unique way. By pushing the f-pawn, you are able to combine your rook's power with the queen power to overwhelm the h-file. That is why rook d3 was played for such circumstances. So, in our actual game, he didn't play h4, because he knows the circumstances behind the move, which is why he first played king h7, making the king out of the danger, and I played a shrewd move knight h1. You may become disconcerted about this move. But do you know the strategy behind it? No. I think so. The main idea of this move is to play knight f2, supporting the pawn to push forward, where the queen can potentially come into the h2 file. He planted his rook behind his king. I know you're all the plans boot. Let me mix your dinner food with sugar because you have diabetes. After a couple of moves later, I get Suger to mix with his food, rook to h1, and now I played d5. What a cunning move, directly challenging the board in the center, because it's almost 11 to 13 minutes of video where we haven't get the courage to break open the center. Some of you argue with me that this d5 move provides the open diagonal for the bishop, who is targeting at my weak backward pawn. But you know what? You see only that thing which appears to your eyes, you don't see behind that thing with your third eye. If black ever dares to fight in the center, he have to move back his bishop, and exchange the dark squared bishops. The rook moves away from the bombarding line of the queen. Now I get the outpost on f6, making free to access my invade my queen or knight in f6. This can lead into a potential advancement in my position. So back to the position. He didn't capture the pawn as it will expose his position. He moved back his bishop. And after a couple of moves later, we have king g8, bishop d4, d5, bishop d7 and c5, take. I double up my rooks, furthermore I triple up my batteries. I don't know why it is called rook batteries, but I can say that I am dealing a cumbersome attack to black in c7. He tried to ignore the threat, but I played bishop e6 in sudden. This move is very tricky, providing the c7 outpost for my rook, and after he opened up the file by capturing the pawn, I didn't capture the rook immediately, because after he captures the rook, he can take away my second rook. The four rooks will be gone forever from the game, and he can play bishop c6, maintaining the constraint in the center so white cannot persuade any attacks to black, which is why the game will be a draw. The game becomes draw. Bye take care. No, fool, I am Stockfish, the god chess. Nobody in this Milky Way galaxy can defeat me without my approval. The game shouldn't be draw. I should win anyhow, either turning off his PowerPoint or by any means. In this position, I played the stunning move, which is little hard to find. Pause the video and try to figure out that move. Go. Okay, if you find rook c7, then congratulations, you are the boss. This rook targets at the two pieces, and if he dare to capture the rook, and after all the pieces exchanges, my rook will get the 7th rank, which is very precious thing me. It feels like I have a handsome haircut with red colored hair. I can eat the pawn, and push forward my two big assets. So in this position, he seems to be logical and played queen b8, which is a good stuff, but my move is much superior. I captured you bishop on d7, and sacrificed my queen right away. I am a piece up, which is why you have to accept my proposal. Rook takes c3 and your stupid knight is under attack. Where should he move? He moved back at c8, creating pressure to the bishop at the same time, but here comes the another cunning move. Oh, sorry, thou would be great. It's rook to c7, creating vulnerability on f7. Some of you may think of playing rook f8 in order to protect the pawn, but here comes the gorgeous move rook at b7, queen runs into the corner because there are so many cameramans. Now, it's dead end for you. Anticipate your bishop on d5, attacking to the queen, and the queen will be completely trapped. But don't worry when Stockfish is here, I am here to inspire you with my quotes. Be brave enough to accept uncertainty, nothing changes unless everything changes. So back to the key position, even if you dare to play rook e8 in order to protect the knight, I can play rook f7, getting the 7th rank way or every pieces will be obliterated. So going back to the position, we saw that both knight c8 and rook e8 was absolutely miserable, which is the reason why we have rook to c8 in reality, to attack on my rook. But that move can't change my pathways of determination. Let me break your ego by capturing your rook, because now queen can't capture it as the knight is hanging there, he have to capture it with his knight. Now let's analyze the position first before entering into the endgame. The rook has the open rank, the king is safe there, black maybe want to push his d-pawn. So if you dare to capture the pawn on f7, which will give black an extra move to make his choice, he can eliminate your bishop strategically, because after queen takes b6, not only he gets the outside pawn, he is targeting at my weak b4 pawn. Additionally, he can push his d-pawn sincerely to make another queen. I will lose all the advantages, which is why, in order to frenzy them, I first played rook d8. This is a very tricky move, not only it's pin the knight to the rook, additionally it creates a potential method to involve the bishop on e6 to gain the knight. So how can I execute this plan? After he captured and I captured back, look at this black's position. By capturing on e4, his pawn structure and pawn gets paralyzed, unable to move, otherwise I will eat them and then again they have to make a move, his complete pieces are blocked and suffer from malaria. If black ever attempts to relieve his queen by playing queen b7, I can play the stunning move bishop d5. Now the queen has to move again, she can't leave his knight alone, otherwise I can punish her. Here comes an ordinary move bishop takes pawn. Nevertheless, black has to move again, his pieces are completely immobilized, unable to make a move. Now bishop e6 is coming to show his real power. Going back to the position, if you dare to play f6, in order to activate the bishop by capturing on f6, which seems also logical. But here comes the spectacular move bishop to g8, the king has only one square left to go, after that, you follow up with the bishop e6, and your knight will be dead lost. By the way, it's a discovered check also. So back to the position, what should black now? He played a terrible move, bishop h6, although he has no options to consider, he sacrificed his bishop, and his pawn on f7. Now he tried queen b7, in order to free from the knight bandage and attacking to the bishop at the same time, but it will not bring any strengths to him as I can play bishop d5, attacking to the queen. In order to save the knight he have to stay in touch with the knight, and you can see that, the queen cannot get any active square in this prison. She is completely out of the game, bishop e6 as expected, the queen moves up and I captured the knight. Now where should the queen need to go? For instance, you play queen to g7, or if you would play any other queen move then it can create the same circumstances as I can play rook c7, launching at attack along with this rank. Queen moves away and we follow up with bishop e3, pawn blocks and bishop on f5, now rook h7 is coming will be a checkmate, there is no way to protect the game, then game will be over. So back to the position, in our actual game, we have queen to e7, to activate the queen. First, I will move back my bishop. If queen goes to f6, keeping eye on this knight, rook goes to g8, demolishing the king's escaping routes, protected by the bishop. Now bishop e3 check is on the way. So, some of you may think of playing g5, but here comes the sneaky move bishop d8, invading an attack with the bishop, combined with the rook's force. Going back, we have seen the move behind queen f6, now he played queen d7, here comes rook c7 followed by queen e8 bishop f7, creating the same circumstances where the black king may become vulnerable. Right? So the queen goes at a8, bishop on e6 queen here, and we have bishop c8. Locking the queen in the cage, now the queen is completely paralyzed, whether he can sacrifice his queen or push these idiots' pawns. After a couple of moves later, he lost his hope, and in a previous manner of moves, I promoted into a new queen. And it's just a matter of time, he lose the game after I checkmated his with my knight. So what a game, wonderful and a very spectacular queen sacrifice by me to paralyze and dominate his position completely. If you enjoyed my content, then don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wish you all the best, bye bye, see ya.